Yo, what's up, people, and welcome to this will be like my first in the new series, um, a character breakdown. This is for YASHAMARU Kurama from Samurai Shodown 2019. I know the game just came out a few days ago, right? But here's what we're going to do. This isn't to bash the game in general. I'm not here to do this. We're here to talk about strengths and weaknesses in the current cast and the current build of the game, right? So this is the release build. And honestly, with Yashimaru being the new main protagonist for this game, he's very, very underwhelming compared to most of the returning cast. One thing I wanted to start off with was his normals. His normals are pretty decent. They're pretty decent. His medium has some nice range on it. His lights are very, typical Samurai Showdown light attacks, pretty fast, decent range. I'm not sure what's the name of the weapon that he's using, but it gives him a bit of an advantage, somewhat. And you guys will see later on why I said somewhat. Yashimaru is playing a completely different game than the rest of the cast, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It's just that I believe he wasn't fully tested, or he hasn't gotten the care that the rest of the cast has, especially when comparing him to his rival Yoshitora. Let's see, Yashimaru has no ground fireball, but he has a air quote unquote fireball that once it hits you, it becomes a command grab, right? Well, it only becomes a command grab if the opponent is on the ground. But once it hits you, you can't combo off the command grab if it goes through successfully, right? You can only combo off of it if you have a full rage meter or if you're in rage mode. And that's basically asking you to either take damage, perfect guard most of the attacks, or risk it all by going into rage mode and not being able to use your weapon flipping techniques or your Isen for the rest of the match, right? So I get it, high risk, high reward type of gameplay, but with this character we're going to break down why things don't work out for him with the type of game he's trying to play. So let's talk his specials. He doesn't have many specials. He has like 3 specials, right? And most of them are pretty bad. They're pretty bad, and they all get enhanced when he's in rage mode. But it's not to say that it's that big of an enhancement. I've already talked about the command grab one from the air when he throws the spear down, right? That only works, like I said, once he's in rage mode or full rage meter, and that's not always going to be the case. It's like they're locking most of his highest damaging combos behind taking damage himself, or just saying, throwing caution to the wind and saying, fuck it, I'm gonna go for this full-on combo and risk not being able to use some resources for the rest of the match. And I honestly feel like that was like one of the worst ideas, because we're going to talk about each of his moves. He has a 2-3-6 light or medium that will rush at you and will cut you. It's like a charging blade attack, right? When you're in rage mode, it passes through the character, whether they're guarding or they take the hit full on, right? But even then, as he passes through you, you can still be punished, making it not even that much viable while you're even in rage mode. So I'm gonna show you guys, why it's you know, what it looks like and give my thoughts on what they could do to make it better if they're going to keep it so that he's getting these buffs only in rage mode. You'll see, you know, how that works out in just a minute. Another one of his specials is it's basically like a DP, but very, very terrible. I'll tell you guys why. Now, basically, this move comes in, you know, 3 different strengths. With the light one having the shortest distance, you know, the heavy one having gained the most distance, right? Now, this move, if it hits and your opponent is a little too underneath you, right? You will end up whiffing the last attack and being open to being punished, right? Regardless of whether or not those first 2 attacks hit the opponent from the initial start of the move. So it's almost like if your opponent is jumping, right? The move also doesn't continue to combo off of opponent that is airborne. So the moment they get hit by the initial slash, they're gonna fall to the ground and potentially can recover faster than you, depending on which strength of the attack that you use. And you could easily be right back into the neutral, or you might get punished for it. Now, with that move, they mitigated it while he's in rage mode, right? So when he's in rage mode, he can basically auto-correct himself. So just in case the opponent does switch sides with him while he's doing the spinning blade attack, he will auto-correct, which is a good thing. But why is that locked behind rage mode, right? Especially since the move itself isn't what you would want to use to catch somebody off of a jump, right? Or airborne opponent. It's almost like, you know, you want to use this move to bait out an opponent, but in this game where jumping is, you know, a part of, you know, an essential tool for almost everyone's kit, you know, most people are going to jump and you're going to miss that combo opportunity. And that's you know, that's another one of the cons to YASHAMARU, right? Now let's go back to the charging blade attack. It is one of his 2 moves, special moves that he could use in the air. While airborne, the light and medium will carry him horizontally. They move him forward. So it's a good tool to try to get over, like, across your opponent. But even then, upon landing, there's still a lot of recovery, right? There's still a lot of recovery frames. So even if you do manage to get across the screen from your opponent, they have more than enough time to run up and heavy slash you, right? So, you know, keep in mind when you're doing this, any of his airborne attacks, which is something that he's supposed to be, you know, that's his gimmick, right? That's his gimmick. And it's almost like he's terrible at playing this game that, you know, he's got going for himself. So let's just get back to the move in itself, right? So like I said, the light and the medium will carry him horizontally across the screen, with the medium carrying him further along. But the heavy version of it will carry him at a downward angle, almost like a spiral kick, I believe, from Street Fighter, or like a dive kick. Let's just go with the dive kick, right? And it's pretty bad even in rage mode. You want to use this to, you know, if an opponent jumps and you meet him in the air. But we're going to talk about why, once again, why his air game isn't the best. Because if you hit an opponent with that move and they're in the air, you literally have to make it so that the blade is touching them. Because if his, you know, his body is touching them, it won't count as an attack, which I get it, you know, but it's a very narrow hitbox. It is a very narrow hitbox. And in this game where every character has different jumping heights, different jumping strengths, it is not going to be the the best way to the best move to try to hit a character that's, you know, jumping in the air, right? Um, the good thing about it is, let's just say if you an opponent doesn't jump in the air and they catch you doing that move and you're in rage mode, it will um, go through your opponent. It will cross you over to the other side. But like I said, the amount of distance that you get from doing that on block, you are still punishable. So it's almost like, what's the point, right? Oh, I forgot to mention that when you're on the ground, the heavy version launches him diagonally across the screen. So he's going to be going upward, almost like basically like a DP. Let's just say that's his true DP that you will want to use, right? Now let's talk weapon flipping technique, right? He is one of the few characters in the game that cannot combo into his weapon flipping technique, whether that be off of a aerial attack into it or off of a back grab or a guard break. You can't do it. So he, in that regard, he's already behind the vast majority of the cast, right? So it's almost like him being in rage mode gives him the slightest benefit, where other characters will be able to make more happen, right? We'll be able to turn the tides of a fight. But YASHAMARU has to play a very honest game throughout the entire match. Now, no, I'm not going to say that his weapon flipping technique is awful. What am I saying? It's not the best. It's not terrible if you can use it at the right time, right? It might not have combo potential, but there are instances where if you catch an opponent in a jump, you will be able to get it off, right? But let's go back to what I said before about every character having different jumping strengths, how floaty they are, right? Some characters will be able to jump like while they're in the middle of his startup animation for his weapon flipping technique, will be able to jump, touch the ground and recover, and still be able to block it, right? Because the hitbox for this weapon flipping technique is not as big as someone's like Haomaru's or Galford's. So trying to bait your opponent to jump will more than likely get you screwed over versus you getting the advantage. So when you're using this character, keep that in mind. Maybe they will make a patch where it kind of starts up faster. And another thing is that the move on startup, the hurt box or the hit boxes aren't active. They're behind him. They start behind him. They don't start in front of him. They start behind him. So once again, that's giving your opponent a little bit more time to react to what you just did and be able to block it or jump over it to punish you. Sounds stupid, right? I know. Now, in regards to his super special technique, I really don't have much to say about it. It feels like everybody else's, in regard that it's slow. You know, it's very situational. You know, you want to use it to punish, or when you know an opponent is going to do a certain move. I honestly feel like YASHAMARU's is a tad bit slower than everybody else's. And I don't know, maybe it's just the wind up of how he's swinging that big ass sword. I don't know what it is, but you know, I just feel like this character wasn't given the same amount of care or thought that a lot of these other characters got when it came down to like balancing issues. And once again, like I said, I know that the game has been out for all of what, 5 days, if that, right? But good is good and bad is bad, right? We're not going to act like, oh, he's very situational, when most of his moves are requires an opponent to always be on the ground in order for him to get the max amount of damage to, you know what I'm saying, secure those punishes, right? But if he's a character that's trying to catch you in the air, even his aerial DP, the charge blade that goes in the air diagonally, right? Even on counter hit, that doesn't do nowhere near as much damage as someone's like Maru's DP does, right? So it's almost like, did they forget to add in the damage modifier, or is this character supposed to be extremely weak in the air, right? Which is supposed to be his forte. Like I said, I played the character a lot. I picked him up. I was like, this is a pretty cool looking character. Pretty dope backstory and whatnot from the arcade / story mode. But the more I play with him online, I win most of my matches with him online. But that's because most people don't know exactly how bad he is and how easy he is to punish. We've all just picked this game up, right? Now somebody, we're playing, and the people who I constantly will rematch, they're easily coming to terms on like, oh, okay, this dude is easy to punish because he's almost like one trick pony, right? So take it from there on, how you guys feel about this character, what you think they should do with him. He's not all bad. He's just, the majority of him is terrible, if we're being honest. So, and as you guys are seeing in this this matchup online, a lot of the issues that I was talking about with this character, you will see him in this matchup, like the rage mode cross-up moves not being effective, still being punishable, how slow he is to recover from his aerial moves, the spinning blade technique, whiffing the last attack and getting punished. You're going to see all of that in just this brief clip. And just I made this video so we can discuss it. So tell me what you guys think. Enjoy.